Gotta say that again.
I gotta say my spontaneous remarks again. Okay.
If you cover politics long enough, you find a couple of people you can trust. They don't try to give you the same old spin.
Serious journalism.
They do try to remind you to pay attention to all the candidates running for president, not just the front runners. Because the candidate running on a specific idea, he may not win, but he's often ahead of the curve.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Congressman Ron Paul. I'm concerned about the direction this country is going in.
Well, you know, the internet loved him. He's a phenomenon of the internet.
But we sort of rule the internet.
Ron Paul is a movement. There is an audience out there for somebody who has a cohesive, consistent argument.
Ron Paul, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
In my dorm room.
He's still pro-life. I mean, he still delivers kids and things like that. But he really feels that there's somebody that you need a message out there for real limited government, lower taxes, and really assessing where America should be wandering in the world. He's against regulation.
I have never voted to regulate the internet.
But isn't there something the government should regulate? Like, you know, the mortgage industry? We've covered presidential elections before.
Well, not me.
And we hated it.
Hated the pundits.
Hated the horse race.
And hated the silly questions.
So we knew what we had to do.
We couldn't care about a White House press pass.
And we couldn't travel fancy.
And we had to be independent.
It had to be about getting one shot to ask one question.
But then, those questions started fitting together.
I'm Michelle Mitchell.
I'm Mark Huntley.
I'm Ed Head.
And this is Common Sense.
So they're going for more free market.
Yeah, well, in an election year, Republicans are always running against regulation. Just leave out a few details.
Like what?
Well, like how they would do it. They never tell you how they're going to do it. They never talk about the potential consequences. They just say, I'm against regulation, and that's it. Ron Paul has given us a broad idea. I think that's a fair assessment, but that's not it. It's really important to understand what exactly these guys mean by being against regulation, because it goes straight to the heart of the mortgage crisis.
A lot of concern now has been expressed about the collapsing of this housing bubble. It's a shame that we had not talked about this 10 or 15 years ago when many free market economists predicted it would come and worried about it and wished we could have prevented it. We have to deal with the cause. We're dealing, and we talk so much about our solutions, but nobody's talking about the cause. And then when the collapse comes, all we have, what do? We ask for more regulation, more credit, more debasement of the currency. And that to me, we have heard expressions about going over the line and engaging in moral hazard. Well, the moral hazard has been going on for years.
Start with him clarifying, him getting rid of all of these government agencies.
Okay, speaking since none of us have a clue about what he means by no regulation.
Like, well, yeah, if you strip down the government so much, what is the government left doing?
What is it? He wants everybody to be able to sue everybody else, and that's how we'll figure everything out?
Yeah. Balance the budget, take care of the deficit, and straighten out finances, but, like, what does that mean?
And I just want to make sure everything was on for Dr. Paul to be at the Mud Bowl today at 1:30. I guess we will see you at the Mud Bowl. You're probably en route, and I'll catch up to you then. Says he doesn't know anything, and neither does anybody else.
Very, very cold.
It's the black versus the white.
Yeah, it's like a mud football game.
I didn't really see much mud.
I don't see much mud either.
Sitting on the ground.
Sorry.
Gotta go.
Your president, will Santa be allowed to say ho ho ho?
I think so. We're not going to have any restriction on freedom of speech.
Dr. Paul, can I offer you a cup of coffee or a Coke?
Oh, I don't care for it either. Matter of fact, it's gotten warm all of a sudden. A lot of hot air in here.
Well, it is, first of all, a great pleasure for me personally, as the Director of External Affairs for Thomas More College of Liberal Arts, to introduce you to actually most of our student body right here.
I think if we had a healthier economy, it wouldn't be much of a problem. But because you give incentives, and they know they're getting amnesty.
I'm sorry, can you, it's my understanding that your stance on regulations, that you're very against regulating in general. Can you walk me through what exactly that means?
I don't know. It depends on what we're talking about. I like regulation, but I like self-regulation. And I don't mind some local regulation, but I don't like the federal bureaucracy regulating our lives. It's regulations can be done by the marketplace, by contracts, voluntary contracts, by private property rights, and the sound money, and there's a lot of regulations, and the true regulation is self-regulation. We don't want anarchy, and we don't want no government, we want self-government. We want responsible self-government, but not through a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington writing laws endlessly.
You don't think that's going to lead to a lot of people suing each other, do you, and clogging up the court system?
Well, once the precedent has been set, they might not misbehave then.
Sorry, we have someone that wants to say something in front of the camera here.
He thinks it's important for there to be more, limited government means that you need more self-regulation. But one of the big questions is, can Americans self-regulate themselves? With the huge amount of personal debt that there is in the country, which perfectly matches the public debt that the country is in, that answer seems to be no.
I mean, look at the mortgage industry. It was open season. Those companies knew exactly what they were doing with the open-ended mortgages, subprime this, ARMs that they had no concern could ever be paid, no background checks, no income verification. It was the wild, wild west.
Oh, darling, it's going to be just perfect.
All these people who, the more the price rose, instead of classical economics, where more people said, ooh, I don't think I can do that if the price is high, said, I've got to do it right now or I'll die without ever having had a home. And let's be clear here. That's what real estate agents were selling in hot markets, and mortgage brokers were standing there cheering them on.
My question would be, now what is Congress going to do about the predatory lenders? What about the people out there losing their homes now?